What a beautiful space, and that is just one of 6 great local gardens that you'll be able to visit at the Wildflower Center's upcoming Mother's Day weekend tour. This is a big event, a much anticipated part of the annual calendar here for local gardeners, and joining us to talk about it is Andrea DeLong-Amaya. Welcome back to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's always great to have you on the program to talk about the Wildflower Center's garden tour. This is going to be a special one. They all are, but 6 great gardens for people to visit. Real quickly, let's give people the lay of the land. How does the tour work?
Yeah, so it's going to be the Saturday before Mother's Day. We'll be open, all the gardens will be open from 9 to 5, and it's a self-guided tour, and you can get the addresses from our website. You can also purchase tickets in advance at various garden centers. And then you just drive around, get your hat and sunscreen and bottles of water and check out the gardens. They're beautiful.
Well, the one we just saw certainly is beautiful. Very relaxing looking. I love all the water features.
And a great plant collection.
Okay.
They have an amazing collection.
Well, there are a bunch of others that we want to talk about, and we're going to just refer to them by street names so people can, when they may want to make note of that as they plan their routes. The first garden we're going to talk about, I was struck by this one as like, is this Stonehenge in Austin? This is on Ridge Crest.
Yes.
And sculpture plays a prominent part in this garden.
Very fun, very interesting. And this is the largest of our gardens that we have on the tour this year. And the idea here is really, it's a fairly new installation, but the homeowners really wanted to have a nice garden to display their sculptures. And it's very interesting. There's beautiful natural stone that is arranged in different artistic ways, and interesting little spaces as you tour around the garden.
Well, I was really, and these are sculptures collected from all around the world, but they have a very naturalistic kind of look to them, and including the Stonehenge.
I wouldn't want to be the person mowing that lawn, though.
Don't get close to Stonehenge. It's like, that's okay.
Right.
But it looks like it'd be a lot of fun to visit, and the plantings are all natives, or a good proportion.
A good proportion are,
which is obviously the case with the Wildflower Center's tour. You really want to highlight gardens to make good utilization of the native plant materials, right?
Yes.
So that one looks like a lot of fun and should make for great photography.
Yes.
Now on Shadow Mountain, this is one that's described as an oasis of trees.
Yes, if you're looking for ideas for a shady garden, this is definitely one you want to see. It's also a fairly small garden. It's maybe a medium-sized garden. And this, a lot of native plants. It's a high percentage. And it has nice trails that go through the property, even though it's a fairly small place. It's a wildlife habitat, wildlife certified, which is also cool.
Well, this is one I would be very interested in because now I'm dealing with a lot of understory kinds of situations.
A lot of people have that.
Right, but because you have shade doesn't mean you can't use the natives. A lot of people think it's all; those are all the cactuses and the yuccas and the agaves.
Good point.
But they're not.
There are a lot of understory plants that do really well, native plants that do really well.
And I'm sure this garden will feature many of those. And it looks like a great spot to visit. So I hope people will avail themselves of that opportunity. That one again is on Shadow Mountain. The next one has I love. You always seem to find some on a garden tour that have that touch of whimsy, and there's certainly that in some of the sculptures. At this one, this is Zadic Woods, and this is a lot of native plantings interspersed with some cool sculpture.
And this is one of the smallest gardens that we have, so every year we have people that really appreciate seeing the smaller gardens, so we're going to have actually a higher percentage of small gardens on this year's tour, so you can get an idea of, what can you do with a small space and really maximize the use of it. Beautiful border gardens, lots of nice little sitting areas. It's a very lush garden in addition to the whimsy and the sculpture that they have in there. It's very cute.
Well, scale is real important, and you can have big impact in a small space. People, it doesn't have to be a grand villa.
Absolutely. It's a lot less maintenance, too.
So there's a lot of wisdom in having a small garden.
True.
That's one thing I've learned as I've gotten older, I think. My back appreciates smaller
Your
gardens.
Back does, right.
But anyway, that one is Zadic Woods. The next one is on Bort. It's called Bort Manor, I think is what the name of the street is.
Yeah, and those are both fairly close to the Wildflower Center in the Circle C area, and that's another fairly small garden, and that's right up against the greenbelt, and so the garden is designed to take use of that beautiful view of the greenbelt, which is nice.
Kind of naturally blend into that.
They have a fence that you can see through, and that also has features a lot of nice seating areas outdoors. Again, in a small space, just how you can use that space to really use it as a living place to extend your house, basically.
Right. And this one has a beautiful covered seating area out in the middle of the garden, which I think in Texas is so smart.
Yeah, there's a covered seating area, and then there's an open area around a fire pit. So depending on the weather, you can have a nice, comfortable place to sit.
Right, right. So if you don't have the shade, build it.
Exactly.
Or plant it, right?
Exactly.
So again, for those people, and again, I know that many people in some of the newer subdivisions that have those natural landscapes that they back into, it's so odd to me to see like this tightly manicured San Augustine lawn abutting this beautiful natural space. And so why not try to blend it all in together, right?
Sure.
And then finally, of course, we have the Wildflower Center itself, which is, I understand from everybody who's been down there this year, that it is looking really spectacular.
I have to say, I think it's probably having its best year so far. Every year it gets better. And this year, we're going to be opening up our new Texas Arboretum, which will have a grand opening on May 19th. So we encourage everybody to come and check that out, because that's a huge 16-acre arboretum that we've done.
Well, and to me, I'm a tree guy.
All right.
Woody plants, that's where I am. I really love the trees. I am really excited about this too.
Good.
You know, I can only imagine the number of different species of oak, for example, that you might have.
We have a lot of things. And then the gardens themselves are looking great. You know, one of the gardens that we installed last spring, the Texas Mixed Border, is also looking really great. And it's a small space, so again, for people looking for ideas for a small garden.
And we have an image of that. This is really quite a stunning looking space. And I know you had a big hand in this, so you know the plants rather intimately in here. But it's not just the flowers that are working here, the foliage, everything really seems
lots of textures and forms, and it really tried to make it feel more residential with the seating areas and the benches and the bird bath and all that.
And there's one other image we have, and that it looks like there's a lot of play on geometry in the Wildflower Center gardens, and people, I think that sometimes takes people by surprise, because you expect this very natural landscape.
Meadows.
But one of my favorite parts of the garden is that geometric grid towards the back of the garden. And you've inserted circles into the squares, which I really like.
Good, yes. Yeah, those tank gardens are a lot of fun because they mimic or reflect the ranching architecture of the Wildflower Center, and they're easy to garden, and they're elevated off the ground.
Right, right. Well, it all looks terrific.
Good,
and I know people will really enjoy themselves. So let's go over the basics just one more time to make sure everybody has the information. The perfect thing for mom, because it's the day before Mother's Day, and so people will know that when Mother's Day approaches, check out the Wildflower Center website.
Come to the Wildflower Center tour. Yeah, check out the website. Again, it's going to be the Saturday before Mother's Day, May 12th, and that will be from 9 to 5. And we have 5 private gardens plus the Wildflower Center for people to visit.
Okay, now sometimes the tickets are available at nurseries, or is that happening this year?
Yeah, and the nurseries that are going to be selling the tickets, we have, let's see if I can remember everybody, Barton Springs, Treehouse, Shoal Creek, of course, the Wildflower Center store. I think I'm forgetting one more.
The website will
Thank
help
you,
out.
yes.
Anyway, it's a pleasure to have you, as always, join us. It looks like a great selection, so thanks very much for being here.
It's going to be a fun tour.
I'm sure it will be. And coming up next is our friend Daphne.